What is up, Comic Book Nation? Connor Casey here, joined by WWE superstar, the ravishing Russian, Lana. Lana, how you doing today?
I am so excited to be here. I love coming here.
Fantastic. Well, happy to have you.
Thank you.
First, we wanted to talk a little bit about another version of you. It recently went on digital download. It's a movie featuring yourself and Rusev. Can you tell me a little bit about this project and how it came about?
Oh, there's so many exciting things. I think one of the exciting things and kind of ironic things is, I don't know if you watch Monday Night Raw, but my soon-to-be ex-husband, Rusev, just happens to be my soon-to-be ex-husband. I'm not soon-to-be ex-husband, he's my ex. Sorry, I just love saying that so much. I love to say soon-to-be ex-husband. It just rolls off the tongue so well. But yeah, he is my ex in another versions of you.
Right.
So it's really, to me, just kind of ironic and funny. But my brother, how I came about the whole doing the movie was my brother presented the script to me in 2015, the end of 2015. And I read it, and he asked me if I wanted to audition for the role Gwyneth. She's the supporting role, and if I wanted to be a part of producing it. And at the time, and still, like, I'm just getting into more of the producing role because I want to tell stories. I think it's so important to tell stories. And I was really fascinated about this story. Parallel universes really fascinated me. I love anything to do with the fantasy world, sci-fi. I'm a huge comic book fan. So this really had like a fantasy element to it. And I love the idea of exploring, what if parallel universes are really real? Like, how can that be? And how can that change your personality? Like, if you're in different universes, how are you going to be different? And some of the roles in this movie are extremely different. Like, they're, like the character is so different in each different universe. Well, my character, Gwyneth, the role that I ended up playing, who's a supporting role, she is very similar, almost exact in each universe. And I was just so fascinated with this girl, and I feel Gwyneth I could relate to a lot. Because she loved life and just wanted to live life to the fullest and wanted to, take every moment as it came and not get stuck on like an idea.
Right.
And Diggsy in the movie is basically, he is in love with this girl ever since he's been really, really young. And she gets married and he's heartbroken, so he starts going to different universes. He has this key and is able to go to each, like a different universe. And he's seeking her and trying to find her and, marry her. And then he runs into me, and we're like kindred spirits. We're like soulmates, and instantly we bond and connect. And I think I'm basically telling him, you have this, you can go into any world. Like, you could become a multi-trillionaire. You could take Facebook idea or Google or YouTube and take it into another universe and become a multi-trillionaire. Are you kidding me? You can invent things. I mean, how cool. Like, if you had that opportunity to take a key and go into a different universe and create something that works that hasn't been created there, how awesome is that? And he's chasing a girl, like an idea of a girl, an idea of love. And I think that's what fascinated me a lot about this movie, is that often I feel like we chase the idea of love, like the idea, not just of love, but the idea that a person is perfect for us, the fantasy of marriage, the fantasy of being with that person, instead of like really loving and accepting that person for who they are. Because people don't always change. And I think Gwyneth was challenging him, to be like, you have this incredible opportunity to live the greatest life, and you're stuck on a girl that doesn't even exist. And so I really like that, because I feel like I see that a lot in society. I see that a lot amongst my guy friends and girlfriends, that they chase, they won't let things go. It's just like, let it go. It's not meant to be. If it's meant to be, it's going to happen. So that's kind of a little bit about the movie and the reason why I wanted to do it. And Gwyneth, of course, I love playing different roles that kind of influence you and you learn something from.
Right.
That's the exciting thing about storytelling.
So Gwyneth sounds like a much different character than the character we see on television.
Oh, yeah.
did you have to stretch different acting muscles to take on this role, as opposed to what we see every week on Raw?
Well, the Ravishing Russian Lana, I guess you could say the majority of her career in WWE would be under the umbrella of villain. People boo me. I mean, it's not my fault. Have some respect. Nothing I'm doing is wrong. It's not my fault you don't understand my perspective.
The folks at Bridgestone Arena on Monday didn't seem to appreciate it.
Yeah, no. I mean, people just don't appreciate. Of course it's just that catch-22 because people, of course, appreciate me. They can't stop talking about me, even if it's mean, but they're still talking. So, but yeah, they were really excited when I got locked up and went to prison and got arrested. Unbelievable. Anyways, it was completely, Gwyneth is, I think what was the most challenging for me when I played the role of Gwyneth was the fact that she was very quirky and stylistically wise. The Ravishing Russian is a little bit closer to, Lana is a little bit closer to CJ in that sense of that she does like to dress up and to wear heels and to be glamorous, ravishing.
Right.
And I think Gwyneth was, and don't get me wrong, I love wearing beanies and comic book things and I'm a comic book fan, but Gwyneth was very quirky, her stylistically, she was very, very quirky and had a whole bunch of, different quirks about her. And that's where I find that element of myself because I'm quirky personality-wise, but then maybe I dress not necessarily in that quirky style, if that makes sense. And Maki is, the director he has a very quirky style. And so he was able to dress me into this. And it was just really cool. I was wearing glasses and had braids and it was just awesome to be able to do something different that is polar opposite than what I do on Monday Night Raw.
Very cool. Now, we heard from a reliable source that you recently auditioned for Sonya Blade as part of the new Mortal Kombat movie that's coming out. How did that audition go?
It was great. I guess, I don't know if they've casted the role or not. I was called back several times. And, they kept on being we're basically doing a world audition. And, but it was great. I felt once again, there's a lot of elements of Sonya Blade that I could relate to. And, being in... It was incredible. I used to play Mortal Kombat as a kid, so that was really
long-time fan franchise.
Yes,
Okay, cool.
yes. And of course, it's those type of things are dream roles to do, and to be a part of that type of franchise and to kick ass on screen. I feel like I looked the part.
Was that your favorite character that when you were playing the games? Was she your favorite character to play as?
Yes, she definitely was, and I also think there's kind of a thing that I could relate to. And I think as a little kid, you're always prone to liking things that you either look like, and, that's why it's so important in WWE that we have so many different characters that represent different girls and different boys so people can relate to and identify with those people. And so I always identified with her. I always had blonde hair, and just I loved that she was always kicking ass and smart and intelligent and always had a plan. And so, yeah, it would be a dream.
Very cool. Now, he's not here right now, but we did have Rusev in the studio yesterday. He mentioned he loved all things 80s movies. Do you share that same passion?
He's always so offended that I didn't watch Terminator 17 times over and over and over again. I'm sorry, I wasn't watching Terminator 27 times on repeat, or I didn't watch Kickboxer until I met you. I'm sorry, that's his favorite movie. But I was a huge Star Wars fan, and I feel as long as I can remember, I was watching Star Trek. That's not a movie, but it's a TV show. My mom is a huge fan of sci-fi and magic and fantasy world, so I, grew up every Sunday night we watched Star Trek. And love Star Trek and love Star Wars. And my parents were really, really, really strict with me. And my father's a minister, and I grew up as a missionary kid. So they were very, very strict with the stuff that we watched. Kind of had to be PG, maybe PG-13.
Right.
And so, a lot of like Star Wars fell underneath that, like, you know, and then even Batman, I remember watching Batman and, oh my God, I love Batman, and the Joker scared me. So there was, you know, those 80s movies I loved, absolutely. I guess, was Indiana Jones and...
That's on that cusp.
Yeah.
The latter ones were.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I don't know exactly where that falls under, but definitely Star Wars and, you know, the first Batman, oh my God, I was like, obsessed.
Michael Keaton.
Yes.
Jack Nicholson. Yeah.
Yes. Oh my gosh, obsessed. So yeah.
You mentioned Star Wars. How excited are you for Rise of Skywalker here later this month?
Oh, I'm so excited. I'm so excited. I love Star Wars. I own all of them on everything. If it's on iTunes I feel like I have the originals on VHS. Is it VHS? Is that what we call those stuff?
Oh.
God, I haven't even used that word in so long. You know, DVDs, Blu-rays, everything. So I have them on my iPad that I travel. I'm a huge Star Wars fan. I mean, my whole life I've been a Star Wars fan. So
Now, when you go back and watch them, do you watch them 1 to 8 now, or do you watch them the way they came out?
it just depends. Sometimes I'm in a mood to watch 1 through 8, and sometimes I just want to watch the original 3. You know, I think
you can skip a little bit at the prequels.
Yeah, definitely. And there's some good stuff in there, but I think that like the first original 3, you know, if it's maybe a part of it is because I was so young when I watched it, and you know, I grew up on that. And also there's like, I mean, Leia, I mean, one of the reasons why I love, when we talk about like 80s movies, and the reason why I love Leia so much was because, you know, she was a forerunner for women to be powerful characters, like not just to be like the hot girlfriend or the hot wife, but to be a powerful character that, you know, is a fighter and does have say and isn't scared to stand up for what she believes in, and isn't scared to voice her opinion. And, you know, I feel like that's who I am. And, you know, you see that in Gwyneth on another versions of You. Like, I'm not scared to voice my opinion and tell you what I think. And you see it in the Ravishing Russian Lana. She sure is not scared to tell people what she thinks. You know, love her or hate her, she's going to stand up for what she believes in. And I think that's such an important thing, and that's who CJ is as well. And so that's partly the reason why I love the original 3 is because of Leia. But of course the new ones, it's so cool to see a leading girl, and it's cool to see how much they've evolved. You know, you see so many more different cultures and races, and you know, the woman is the leading girl, and that's really, really cool.
That's awesome. Now, let's talk a little bit about your current role in WWE. Were you surprised by the outrage when this whole Bobby Lashley-Rusev love triangle started?
I mean, the Ravishing Russian Lana would say, of course she is horrified. I mean, seriously. I mean, what have I done wrong, you know?
Other than slap a police officer.
I mean, I'm sorry. Like I said, you should always take risk. I don't know if you saw my IG story. I said always apologize when you do something wrong, and I got a little carried away. Like, I was just emotional. I don't know. Have you ever been emotional? And
of course.
And you said something?
No, all the time.
That like, and then you're like, oh, I shouldn't have said that. Like, I was really upset. I was really mad. I acted out. I shouldn't have done that, right? Well, that's kind of what happened. Like, I hired these detectives, my police detectives that I hired to protect me. I mean, oh my gosh. And then, you know what it all boiled down to is that I think both of them, they were Rusev fans. They were Rusev Day fans. So they were corrupt. I mean, to be quite honest, I would not even be surprised if Rusev paid them off. I mean, he's from Bulgaria. That's what they do. So I would not be surprised, because they're standing there. They're literally standing there just looking, and there's no way you can't hear it. I'm screaming, and they didn't arrest him? I think they're on his payroll. I think that's all what it came down to. Once again, he's trying to sabotage everything.
It's quite a theory.
It's true. I'm sure it's true. So then, you know, I mean, I shouldn't have slapped, but I apologized. But I just think that at the end of the day, they were completely one-sided. They were Rusev Day fans, and clearly they took us aside, and that's why they arrested us.
I think one thing a lot of fans are curious about is Joy, your dog, your beautiful dog that we love following on Instagram.
Yes, Joy Barnyashev, every camera. Joy Barnyashev, at Joy Barnyashev. That's JoyBarnyashev. Where am I looking?
Two.
JoyBarnyashev, Joy Barnyashev, which I'm not going to say who that's the last name is. That's Khabirusev's real last name. But anyways.
What happens to her now that her parents are breaking up?
I know, she cries at night. We fight over custody. We're about to have a custody battle.
That's so sad. That's a lot to put a little girl like her through.
I know. We have to, she comes over to me, then she goes over to him. I mean, I should be completely like having her full time, obviously. But I am getting a new dog next week, a little Pomeranian.
Very cool.
Teacup Pomeranian. So just so, when because I feel sick when she's not there. I feel sick when she's not with me. So I'm gonna have another one to make sure I don't get sick. But I mean, I am gonna fight over custody because I deserve Joy. Even though I gave Joy to him for Christmas time, for his birthday, I just have to,
Well, we'll have to see how that pans out. Last thing, you mentioned, and Bobby's mentioned this as well, that you guys received death threats regarding this storyline. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, we've received a lot of death threats. I personally have received a lot of death threats. I've gotten calls from like WWE and the FBI, people actually threatening WWE, having death threats on me, and the FBI's had to call me and protect me, and I get death threats on my comments on Instagram, on Twitter. I mean, people are mean. I mean, people are bullies. And I mean, today I opened my email account and I had this death threat in my email. And, you can go see it on my Instagram story at the Lana WWE. But it was just like the names that people call are it's just appalling. It's absolutely appalling. And, this is the thing is that life is difficult. Life is hard. Life is not a walk in the park, and it's not easy. You're gonna have, it's like the tide. It's gonna be great, and then it's gonna be pulled back. And that's life. I hate to say it, but at the end of this life, we die. And we get older, and that's just how it goes. And so, how can we live our best life in this world that is broken and not perfect? And I can tell you one way to live it is not judging and being so mean to people that you don't support. And because there's going to be, you see this in religion, you see this in politics, it's just, you see this in general, when people don't support your life, that people are so mean, and that's wrong. And, people, that's fine. People don't have to support my lifestyle, and people don't have to support everyone's lifestyle. That's completely fine. This is in the United States of America, this is a free world, and we can live however we want. But one thing that is wrong is if you think someone is doing the wrong thing, is to go and be mean to them, because two wrongs don't make a right. In no world. And I think, I just really want to speak out on the cyberbullying issue because, I've been a victim of so much cyberbullying, and I take a step back and I go, whoa, like, I'm a strong person. I'm a stable person mentally and physically, and I believe in myself, and, so I'm not as affected by this, but I go, wow, if you're doing this to other people, if you're doing this to, little girls in your school, little boys in your school, you're like people that you don't support, that are not all like, maybe they struggle with mental illness, or maybe they struggle with their own insecurities. You can really have a negative effect on people. You can cause people to have downward spirals. You can have people cause them to have eating disorders. Cyberbullying is a big cause of suicide. And I just want to speak out on it. It's like, that is really, really, really wrong. It's completely wrong. And, people really need to think before they comment, because all they're doing is they're hiding behind a screen, and they're being mean. And, do people want to be responsible for people killing themselves? And so I think that, really I'm going to continue to strongly speak out about it, because I think that there's a lot of people that are victims of cyberbullying, and it really affects their entire life, and it's wrong, and it needs to stop.
I fully support you in that campaign and wish you the absolute best. Do you have a Twitter and Instagram profile that people can follow?
Yes. It's the Lana WWE on Instagram and Lana WWE on Twitter.
Fantastic.
And then Facebook is Lana WWE.
Okay. And guys, another version of you is available on digital download today. So give it a look and check out Lana every week over on Monday Night Raw on the USA Network, Monday nights. Lana, thank you so much for the time. Appreciate it.
Thank you.